All right. I'm going to hit today on the whole Tolle, present development, active mindfulness, inner game, so to speak. Okay. I started talking to conferences, men's conferences, dating conferences about a decade ago, 2007. So yeah, it's been 10 years. And I was one of the guys, among other things, I was trying to get to the nitty-gritty details of inner game. Okay. So basically creating, developing emotional, mental control discipline over yourself. Okay. Because very early on, we realized that it wasn't necessarily about control over women or trying to learn how to control women better. It really started with us learning how to control ourselves better, okay? And that's always going to be the initial focus. It's got to be, okay? It has to be, all right? Because seduction is all about leading, going first. So if you can't do and be and sort of encapsulate conversationally, socially, what you're trying to get the girl to do, then you can't expect her to do that, okay? So, conversationally, verbally, vocally, we had to learn to develop ourselves to encourage and inspire women to do the same and be the same with us, okay? So anyway, Tolle came along and sort of cut our kite strings. Whereas I was working so hard to try to create something that you guys could understand, Tolle comes along and boom, we're all in fucking G free gravity. It's no longer something I even have to discuss. Tolle's a teacher, okay? But one thing, I want to make a couple of points about how this works, because I know some guys manage to start Tolle, the process of Eckhart Tolle, listen to Practicing the Power of Now or whatnot, and then they kind of give up because they think it's boring. They don't see the correlation or how it applies itself, okay? So I want to go over that now. So back to my earlier point. You've got kids, 11, 12, 13 years old, no Kona. And they start trying to talk to girls at an early age, and they're terrible at it. And what the human mind does is it forms emotions and experiences and baggage that stays with us. And when we start trying to talk to other girls, we might have happened to us when we were 14 years old and 10 years later, because the human brain encodes things by chemical, imprinting. Okay, that doesn't have an expiration. So what happens is when you get crushed, whatever, when you're fucking 12 years old, 10, 15 years later, you are an empowered adult, but you're not acting that way because your brain has created this baggage so that when you're experiencing the same similar sensory experience, your mind kicks back to that old emotional story and paradigm, and it stifles you, even crushes you. I was working with a guy today that had a story of basically it could be kind of broken down to his brain kind of told him that he actually sabotaged himself whenever he talked to hot women or women he was interested in. And we had to rewire that process, okay? Because otherwise you have this idea, this guy in particular, but we all have these shitty past experiences, that he had this idea that when he talked to new women, he was going to somehow sabotage himself, and he was just waiting for it to happen. Clearly, that's not a good expectation to be having when you're talking to a new girl, formulating a new relationship, and want her to think the best of you, and you're trying to give your best self, and your brain's like, you're going to shit yourself, you're going to shit yourself. So what Tolle does is it allows us to be conscious of our emotions and our thought processes happening, okay? And to some of you guys, that might sound boring. It might sound overly simplistic. It might just sound like, like what's the point of this, right? Kona boy, I love you, but you got to go, Jane, when I'm training or making videos. I'm talking to Dog here like he's a fucking human. Kona, go. So it's not. It's actually a very rich and dense process. And when you guys start seeing how much your brain is instinctually encoded and programmed to respond in a shitty fashion because you're looking at it happening, because you've been listening to Tolle and learning meditation and present development, well, it's going to kind of blow your mind. It's going to like peeling the fucking eggshell off your fucking head, okay? You'll start to see, I liken it to like, you've been living in a well your entire life, and you stick your head out above the well, and you're like, oh my God, I can see the real world, okay? Tolle allows you to have the conscious awareness of how your brain creates a thought or a thought pattern, a group of thoughts, and it anchors itself in your body as physical sensations. That linking between a thought and an anchor in your body creates emotions, okay? But most of our emotions take place and are happening below the level of consciousness, okay? So you have a bad thought, it anchors itself negatively, you feel stifled and tense, you're not breathing right, and you experience a negative downward spiral, okay? Tolle allows you to become conscious of that process and snip it, cut it, so that it's no longer there. So that you are experiencing women fresh eyes, okay? You don't have old baggage in the background. You're not thinking too far ahead and coming up with an obstacle that you can't solve, and so you just bow out. You're fresh in the moment with the girl, and guess what? They love that, okay? Women are so magnetically drawn to a guy that has presence and active mindfulness. You will create, not only will you create amazing, free, powerful experiences with women, but they'll be wanting you to do it, okay? How amazing does that sound? So yes, listen to Tolle, Eckhart Tolle. The best one I have found, I've been listening to it for years, is practicing the power of now. Not the power of now, that's good as well, but this one is practicing the power of now. I've listened to that audiobook 60, 70, maybe 80 times over the last 8 or 9 years now. Cool, hope you guys learned something. Talk soon.